Good evening, everyone. How are you all doing? Hope everyone is well. Is everyone hearing me? Can I see a thumbs up? Okay, wonderful. All right, so guys, we have reached the end of our 5 week journey. We are very pleased to have you join us, of course, for our very last session as we cover co-mingling of funds. For those of you who may not know, I am Trishana Mahaber, an operations officer at the NFLP and your moderator for this evening. So, as usual, before we begin today's session, let me remind you of the following. We kindly ask all attendees to remain muted. However, as usual, you are invited to put your comments and questions in our chat box. Of course, it's our last session, so we ask you to please join us by please putting on your cameras. We'd love to see you for one last time. Also, two things to note. Our recordings will be available at the end of the week via our YouTube channel. Also, you can look out for an email from one of us regarding the links for these recordings as well as the PowerPoints. Also, there's a link that I placed in the chat a few minutes ago. If you all can take a minute of your time, whether it's during but preferably after, to share some feedback with us, that would be very much appreciated.
Trishana, I think we just lost you and Laddie for a minute. So you might have to repeat what you just said.
All right. Okay, sure, no problem. Let me just repeat once more that the recordings will be placed on our YouTube channel, but we will send you an email with those links by the end of this week. So you can look out for them on Friday, as well as I've placed a link for our survey in the chat box. So when you have some time, it will take you 1 minute to please complete that for us. We'll also send it via email as well tomorrow morning. So I guess this is the point at which we begin. So let me introduce for the very last time Miss Adana Austin. She is a business coach and marketing consultant who runs her own business called Marketing Dynamics, Dynamics Business Solutions, and manages a Facebook group of over 4,000 entrepreneurs called Dynamic Business Strategists. Adana conducts training for a variety of businesses across the country on topics specific to business, leadership, growth strategies, women in business, and cultivating a business mindset. And also with us today is Mrs. Lottie Franklin. She is a certified value builder advisor, entrepreneurial thought and action educator, as well as a financial literacy consultant and educator. She assists medium, small, and micro entrepreneurs as a micro and small entrepreneurship educator through her ongoing work as a coach at Good Works Coaching and Consulting. So, with that said, I now hand you over to Mrs. Franklin to begin this evening's presentation.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening to Shana. Good evening, Adana, and everyone on the platform. It's a pleasure for me to be here with you again this evening, and actually I'm honored to be closing this very exciting month. I hope that every entrepreneur that has been coming on the platform has been having a great time, and you have a wealth of information to help you to run a successful, strong businesses. That is our prayer. That is what we hope for, and that would make us for us, it would have been valuable that we spent this month with you. Okay, so this evening, as Trishana would have mentioned, we are looking at co-mingling of finances, and this is a very, very constant topic that comes up in running a business, okay, and it's also very critical in terms of when you consider management of your finances. This is one aspect that has to be, you have to really, really deal with. Now, by way of definition, when we say mixing, co-mingling of finances, what are we really talking about? We're talking about actually the practice of mixing your personal finances with your business finances. right? And I'm sure many of you here would have experienced that one way or the other, especially virtually most of entrepreneurs would experience that at the start of their businesses. And hopefully they don't continue with that practice, because as we are going to learn this evening, it's not a practice that you want to adopt and maintain if you want to run a successful business, right? And it also simply means differentiating between your personal and business expenses, right? And keeping them separate from each other, right? So your personal expenses are very different from your business expenses. And because of that differentiation, they have to be kept separate. The business is an entity separate from yourself, right? And as we talk about business expenses, what are actually business expenses? I mean, we are all familiar with them. These are expenses that have to do with the actual cost of running your business and maintaining your business. So when we talk about business expenses, we are talking about those costs related to maybe raw materials, supplies, equipment, salaries, wages, insurances, rent, professional development activities, travel, and the rest of them. And of course, business expenses will vary from business to business depending on the type of business that you're running.
Excuse me, Lottie. Would you mind either raising the volume or speaking up a little bit louder?
Okay.
Some of us are experiencing some fluctuations in volume.
Okay. All right. Okay. Right. I was just simply going over what business expenses are, and I'm saying that they are costs that are related to the actual running of your business and maintaining your business in whatever fashion, and I gave a few examples like your raw materials, your supplies and equipment, your salaries, your rent, and so on, your utilities and all those overheads, right? So they are related to your business. Well, personal expenses, of course, are the ones that are related to yourself, and these are things that you spend on your personal, your personal living expenses, if you want to put it that way, right? So, like I said earlier on, when we talk about mingling finances, we're talking about, it having an overlap of these finances when they are supposed to be different. So when we talk about, this is not supposed to happen, we are saying that you're supposed to keep your business and your personal finances separate. Right now, how does it happen that, business owners come to mingle their personal finances and business finances? Now, it's very easy because we know most of the time sole proprietors and they tend to just spend their own income on their business, right? So many of you would just, especially at the start, like I said, it will just be an almost natural thing for you to use your own income to start the business, and then you purchase a lot of things for your business, So, and because of this, there's a tendency for you to continue with this type of mindset and practice, all right? And we know also that when you start your business, you just want to hit the ground running, and you concentrate on the bigger things, like, okay, having a quality product or service that I can put out there that customers will like, and organizing resources and structures around that to make my business successful, right? And mingling of finances, unfortunately tends to take a backseat, and we tend to look at it as something that is a little thing. Oh, I can always do that later. But your business finances are your business finances, and you cannot afford, to make it a little thing. They're not small at all. They are details that you need to, consider very important from the start of your business, right? So we're still continuing. What are the common ways that you will see, personal and business finances mingled in a business, right? There are several ways that could happen. Even just recently, I saw someone using their personal credit card, to for their business. And I've also seen vice versa, where business finances are used to pay for personal purchases, right? And typically, again, some of these things, mingling of finances may happen where expenses tend to overlap. And we have a lot of that happening in small businesses. So one common overlap is in the area of transport. So your car may be in your name, but it's primarily used for your business purposes, right? So you use it to transport goods, you use it to do a lot of things for the business. So gas that you spend, even though the business is in your name, you spend gas, to be able to move the car around on behalf of the business. So this is supposed to be an expense for the business, all right? And then sometimes we may find that we use our own personal items for business purposes, like the car that I've just mentioned. And, typically you will see we're using our personal phone, for the business. All right. We use it to make business calls. We use it to negotiate business transactions with suppliers and so on. Right. We use it to market, and all of these are part of business expenses, but it's our personal phone. Right. Then again, you have instances where you're running a home business, and this is very often. Yeah, you're using a portion of your expenses relating to the home or the business, for instance, the rent or the mortgage, whichever applies to you, utilities, around the home, you're using that for business. All right, you're using a portion of it for business. So ideally, it becomes, because of this now, it becomes very, very easy for the lines to become very blurred, especially when there's no salary also. And, you have to survive. You have to be alive and thriving in order to run the business. So it's justified for you to take out of the business, to pay for your personal cost of living as well, and in our minds, this may become justified that, well, I'm just trying to do this so that I can keep the business going, but there is no salary, and you cannot just be taking out of the business. But I'm sure Adana is going to talk about this when she looks at strategies. By the way, I'm just giving a background, to this, and I believe that Adana will be touching on strategies that we can use to separate our personal and business finances. Now, what are the pitfalls? Obviously, there will be some serious pitfalls, coming as a result of mingling our finances, right? Very, very obviously, the lines will be blurred between your business and yourself, all right? And it is not a wise decision I know that as, startups and as micro entrepreneurs, most of us, the business is literally ourselves, but it's supposed to be a separate entity unto itself, especially if you want to give it the respect, the integrity, and the effort that it deserves. You have to treat it separately from yourself. All right. And another pitfall is that a wide range of personal expenses. I've seen some entrepreneurs, a significant amount of their personal expenses are being made with, business accounts. And because of that, they can't easily track the actual expenses of the business. And you're going to have difficulty in keeping track of your money when you don't really know how much it is spending and how much it is making, And if you leave this throughout the year, you really cannot give a clear picture of the financial health of your business. All right. You don't know whether you're making, you don't know whether you're using, because, the lines are completely blurred and the expenses, are all overlapping, And of course, we all know that, we reduce our tax liabilities by the business expenses we are able to deduct from, our taxes. So when we do not have these clear lines, right, and things are mingled, and many times I have seen situations where entrepreneurs are filing for their taxes and they cannot find the receipts, they cannot find all of those things that help them to show the records of what they actually spent in their businesses, right? Or everything is just mixed up, right? It becomes a very gray area for you. You don't really know how much income you made, and with no proof, with no clear divide between the expenses that you made, what is going to happen is that your income may be inflated, right? It may look like, okay, a lot of the businesses, were not attributable to the business. So you end up with fewer deductions. And if you end up with fewer deductions, it means that your tax liabilities will be higher. All right. So then I have also seen situations where in the area of, getting access to capital for your business, which is very, very necessary. This affects your ability to access capital simply because, financial institutions will be looking at, will be very wary of giving you loans because they do not know what is going to happen if they have this impression that your business and your personal finances are being mingled, or they are overlapping. So it gives them it raises the perception of a higher risk with respect to your business, and it may affect your ability to access loans and financing, right? So, and basically, let's just say overall, it slows down your business because with you not being able to access funding quickly, what is happening is that your growth is stunted, right? And at some form, as a business owner, you will need this type of funding support. So it's very, very important, right, that the pitfalls that you will encounter as a result of low finances are really significant. And some of you may already be going through that, and you may want how to get out of it. Now, obviously, it matters, for you to, by now, you should know that it matters and that we need to do something about it, but I just want to wrap up by saying that, yes, it truly matters, and just re-emphasize and affirm again that it is very, very critical, right? And one of the ways it matters is that any money that is for your business, or any money that is generated from your business, is primarily supposed to, cover your business expenses, invest in the future of your business, and not for you to channel it into personal obligations, right? So it matters that you separate your business finances from the very beginning, right? So that you can give your business the attention that it needs. And then, like I said earlier on, you'll be able to see how it is performing. When you now try to sort out receipts, incomes, and expenses and assets, and after they've gotten mixed up, especially when you leave it for too long, it becomes a real problem. And I have seen that many times, where you see both the business owner, the bookkeeper, even some employees engaged in the act of just wading through receipts and records, just trying to be able to separate what was for the business, what was for the finance, for the personal expenses. Now, imagine when you have sweets in different types of mints in a bottle, and you're trying to, separate the two, especially if it is the smaller ones. It will, sometimes you may make a mistake too. So even when you allow them to be mingled like that, when you come and you're trying to separate them, there are often errors, right? And that's why it really matters that you develop a strategy from the get-go, to keep your business finances and your personal finances separate, and like I said earlier on, and as we look at all of these things, we see that when you keep your business finances separate, you are able to quickly tell the financial position of your business. You can access the business, this information, your expenses, how much you spent in a week, in a month, in a year, very quickly, sometimes within minutes, depending on the type of the type of tool you use to record them, and obviously, like I said earlier on, you don't worry anytime you file your taxes. Now, anytime when it's tax time, a lot of entrepreneurs, have some problems, in terms of wading through and separating. And typically you find cases where they cannot justify certain types of expenses, right? And if you decide to course, bring an accountant and a bookkeeper to help you to, do this, is going to require more time. And of course, more time may mean for you paying more money. All right. So when you keep them separate, your accountant or your bookkeeper will not need to spend all that time trying to identify which are the business expenses and which are the personal expenses. Another reason why it also matters is where you're sending wrong signals. So I mentioned earlier that, with financial institutions where you want to access funding, this may be sending wrong signals to them. There are other stakeholders around as well, people that will see it as a red flag. And the main red flag is what? You pocket the money for yourself, without funneling it back into business. So who wants to, engage with you if that is your practice, right? So it's sending wrong signals, and some of them might simply even think that you're not willing to perform the due diligence that your business needs. You're not willing to set up proper finances, and in the times that I have been in the past in my career, when I was engaged in small business financing, that was a very, very serious red flag that used to, literally stop, or hinder the approval of loan applications, simply because, we just didn't have that confidence that you were going to utilize the funds. Judging by what we are seeing, it appears, you're not, maintaining the right due diligence in your business finances. On the other hand, if you provide information, I used to see business owners that were very astute in this, their accounts were very properly kept. The one for the business, very separate, I kept separately, and you were able to track everything, It used to indicate professionalism. It used to indicate, this person, is financially literate and they're able to manage their business finances. So you want to be careful that, these types of wrong signals are not what you're portraying, and that will definitely happen, if you do not keep your business and personal finances separate. Finally, another reason, and that this is the final reason, there are several other reasons, but this will help you. I started off by saying that your business is a separate entity from yourself, all right? And even if you are a sole proprietor operating under your name, your business is still separate, all right? And there's something that, helps for you. It contributes towards your success when you develop this mindset from the beginning, and you give your business, like I said, the respect that that matters. Sometimes you even, this even tends to, kind of affect those around you when you don't treat your business with the respect it deserves, when you also tend to treat your business as if it's part of yourself. All right, and there's not enough time for me to say a lot of practices that I have seen that have come out of that. People having problems with family members, thinking that this is not a business, and so on. All of these have to do with mingling your business and personal expenses. Some of it have to do with that. Sorry. All right. So I believe that I have been able to, kind of inspire you, and I'm sure all of you already know that it is important even before this session, but I hope I've been able to really add to what you already know as to why it's important. And I believe that Adana is coming now to provide some strategies, and maybe there are some additional strategies that I might also chip in later on. So over to you, Adana.
Right. Hi, guys. Thank you so much, Laddie. Thank you so much, Laddie. Give me a thumbs up if you can hear me clearly, please, because I know the internet is a little crazy. Today it's in and out by me. So give me a thumbs up if you can hear me clearly, because it's been coming in and out by me a lot. So I just want to make sure that you are hearing me before I jump in. So thank you very much, Laddie. Let's get into the practicalities of co-mingling, right? And as I keep telling you all, everything we spoke about in the last 5 weeks is connected. Everything is connected, right? So we talk about your managing your money, your pricing for profit, all of those things. Everything works together, right, guys? How many of you know that in Trinidad and Tobago that commingling of funds is illegal? How many of you know that? Tell me yes or no in the chat. How many of you know that it is actually illegal? Because many people don't know it's illegal and do it. So you are actually breaking the law when you are commingling your funds. Yes, and we are law-abiding citizens, are we not? Right? So we're not breaking the law, right? We are all law-abiding citizens and we do not want to break the law, right? So what the point is, whether you're starting your business now or you've been in business for 6 years or whatever, you want to treat your business like a real business and not like a hobby, right? You want to make sure that you have all the tools in place so that your business can grow consistently. And part of that is treating the money that you are making with respect. It's about respecting your money. So yes, you're going to take the money that you make and yes, you are going to reinvest it. But there are different ways that you can do that without co-mingling of funds. So Laddie gave us a really great definition of what co-mingling of funds is. And the reason you want to pay attention to this, remember we also spoke about budgeting, right? You need to have a personal budget and you need to have a business budget. They are two totally different things. And if you have a healthy respect for your business and the money that you're receiving, you would understand why you need to have a separate personal budget and a separate business budget. So let's talk about 5 different ways you can prevent co-mingling. Are you ready to write? Give me some thumbs up if you're ready to write. Tell me in the comments you're ready, you're ready, you're ready, you're ready. Now I'm just covering 5. There are other ways that you can do it, but I'm just covering these 5 ways. Tell me in the comments you're ready to take these notes. I know I speak a little quickly, but tell me you're ready. I'm giving you a chance, if you don't have your pen and paper, to get your pen and paper ready. All right, I'm giving you 5 different ways you can prevent that commingling that we keep talking about. One of the ways, and I think one of the biggest ways you can prevent commingling of funds is to pay yourself. Pay yourself. So before you roll your eyes, because I know that's what a lot of people do when I tell them about paying themselves. You have to get into the habit of paying yourself because you are an employee in your business. Whether that is $50, $100, $20 a week, whatever that is, pay yourself, right? Because you can't take your business card, right, and then go and use it in Pennywise. If you took the money you made in your business and you paid some of it to yourself, then you can take that personal money and go to Pennywise, or that personal money and then go to the grocery. You understand what I mean? How many of you have a business bank account? First of all, how many of you have a business bank account? Tell me in the comments. Thumbs up, thumbs down. You have a business bank account? Business bank account? Yeah, because if you don't have a business bank account, you are going to start to commingle. That's a big thing, because if you have a registered business, people should be paying you in your business bank account. They should not be paying you in your personal account. That is actually illegal, guys. That is illegal, right? And we are law-abiding citizens here. So business bank accounts, if you don't have that, please go and get that set up as soon as possible. Do your research to figure out which bank makes sense for you and your needs, because we all have different needs, right? So you do your due diligence about which bank will work best for you and what you want long-term with your business, yeah? But open a business bank account. Let your customers pay you directly into your business bank account so that you can prevent co-mingling. So the first thing, pay yourself. If you're paying yourself, put a thumbs up. Pay yourself, whether that's weekly, monthly, bi-weekly, whatever that is. Pay yourself. That's the first thing. Pay yourself. The second thing is separate your credit cards. Separate your credit cards. You can have a personal credit card and you can have a business credit card. You cannot use your personal credit card to purchase business related items or to pay for business related things. That is also commingling, right? So pay yourself, separate your credit cards, right? Make a decision. This is something that we do every year. Make a decision. What is a business expense and what is a personal expense? It has to be very black and white, guys. It's not a blurred line. What is a business expense and what is a personal expense? If, for example, I'm saying this to the women. If, for example, you have to go and do a speaking engagement, right? So you need to get your hair done, your nails done, you need to get an outfit and that kind of thing. You're doing this for your work. That is a business expense. You understand the difference? But if you're just doing it for doing its sake because you have a family wedding or something like that, that is a personal expense. You have to get very clear in your business what is a business expense and what is a personal expense. Guys, get these things out of your head and write them down. Write them down, open an Excel sheet and figure that out. What is the difference between my business expenses and my personal expenses? Creating that habit is going to help you not commingle. The fourth thing that you need to do is keep your receipts. Keep your receipts, especially for your accounting purposes later on, if you have to pay taxes or whatever it is, depending on how your business is registered, you need to have your receipts. So keep your business receipts, right? Sometimes you have to take pictures of them because some of them fade away really quickly and stuff, but keep your business receipts. Yeah. And the fifth thing, which is similar to number 3, is record everything you spend money on. Record everything you spend money on. Get into the habit of having like a little book or something where you can say, okay, I spend this on gas, I spend this on stationery, I spend this on whatever your business normally uses, right? Because sometimes I know you may be out and running about and you pick up something for the business. Take a note of what it was and keep the receipt, right? You're taking a note just in case you lose the receipt, but take a note of everything that you spend. Get into that habit, guys, especially when you're now starting out. You want to get into these money habits so that you don't find yourself in trouble 6 months or 6 years later down the road. Make sense so far? Give me some thumbs up if it makes sense. Make sense? Easy to implement? Easy to implement, yes? Easy to implement. Pay yourself, separate your credit cards, decide what is a business expense and what is a personal expense, keep your business receipts, and record everything you spend on. So let's say, for example, you go to the market to buy food for your catering business. You may not necessarily get a receipt from the vendors, right? But you have to take a record of how much money you spent in the market. So how much money is spent on potato, how much money is spent on pumpkin, how much money is spent on peppers, everything. And guys, the other reason you want to take note of this, as I said to you all before, because everything is tied in together, the other reason you want to take note of how much you're spending is because it will affect your pricing. It determines your pricing. You understand? So the money that you're putting out for your collateral to get your stuff out to your market, right? That is going to affect how much you charge for a box of food. So you have to record everything. Yeah. And then you create a personal budget and a business budget. Don't wait until your business gets so big and you're not paying attention to your money. Yeah? So let me ask you a question now. Let's get into the practicalities of this, right? In the time that we're living in. How many of you are operating your businesses from home? Tell me in the comments, how many of you are operating your business from home? Yes, if you're operating your business from home. Tell me if you're operating your business from home. I am operating my business from home right now. Tell me if you're operating your business from home. So if you're operating your business from home, how do you separate what is a business expense and what is a personal expense? When you're home working on your business, are you using lights? Just give me a thumbs up. Are you using lights? Are you using the internet? Are you using the internet? Depending on the type of work that you do, are you using water? Yes. Depending on the type of work that you do you have to use your vehicle to go and make deliveries? Yes. Do you have an office space in your home, or do you have a space dedicated to where you might store your materials or store your goods? Yes. Yes. How do you separate your business expenses from your personal expenses? And that is exactly what Laddie was talking about, right? You have to determine, okay, is this, so my phone, for example, I use my phone primarily for business. So my cell bill is paid by my business, right? One of the things that my accountant had taught me when I started to work from home was, because I was working from home and because I had my office in my home, to pay part of my mortgage from my business, and the other part, so I pay 1/3 of my mortgage. That's for me, right? And that's based on what my accountant shared with me. I pay 1/3 of my mortgage from my business expenses, and then the other amount I pay from my personal expenses. Yes, because I'm just using a particular space. I'm not using the whole house of my business. I'm using a particular space. So based on the space that I was using, that was the recommendation for me. Yes. I also pay part of my internet with my business expense, and part with my personal expense. My water bill is totally my personal expense because I don't use the water for my business, right? Right? And for example, with my other business, I have a flower shop. We use our car to do deliveries. So the gas that we put into our car, it comes from the business, because when we have to move from place to place, our doing deliveries, collecting supplies, all that kind of thing. So for my flower shop, my vehicle is a business expense, right? Anything related to the vehicle, because I'm using the vehicle primarily for my business. Guys, does it make sense? So that is why, guys, and that's why Laddie was saying at the beginning, don't just brush it off as, well, something I need to think about, but I'm not getting into it. You have to make sure that you can separate those things from the get-go, especially if you are working from home. It's a lot easier if you have you have your business outside of your home, right? If you have somewhere where you're renting, so there you'll have lights there and water there and internet and a rent fee there and that kind of thing. But if you're operating from home, so if you're using your stove and your gas and stuff to bake, you're using your stove to cook, right? You're using any of those kind of materials at home. You have to figure out, do I need to separate this bill in two and pay half of it with my personal expenses and half of it with my business expenses, right? And if you're using your personal expenses, it has to come out from your personal account. It cannot come out from your business account. And because if it does, that is where commingling happens. Yes? So let's answer some questions really quickly. I hope I'm making sense. Is it making sense? Because I want you all, when you leave this session, which is our final session, that it is very clear to you and you go and you take intentional action to separate your personal and your business expenses. So let's look at some examples. If you, and I want you to answer me in the comments, if you go out to dinner with your family, do you use your personal account or your business account? Which one would you use? Personal or business? Right, good. Dinner with your family. So you're not going to pull out your business card and pay for that, right? If you're going to dinner with business associates or with a client or something like that, that could be a business expense. But if you're going to dinner with your family, that is a personal expense, right? If you are buying a new laptop and you use your laptop for work, do you use your personal account or your business account? Where are you going to put it? Personal or business? Your laptop that you're using for work. Right. That could be a business expense, right? So you can use your business account once the laptop is being used for business purposes. So do not go and buy your son laptop with your business account. Go and buy your children's laptop with your personal account, because that is not a business expense. You have to know the difference, right? And we talked about this. If you're paying for your internet or electricity and you work from home, do you use your business account or your personal account? And in that instance, you might decide to split it in half depending on what your situation is. Yes? Right? If you're using your car to do deliveries, is the gas a personal expense or a business expense? Tell me in the comments. A business expense. So you need to have that wired in your head every time you do any kind of transaction, all your day-to-day transactions. You need to start asking yourself, is this a personal expense or is this a business expense? So that you do not mix it up, so that you do not commingle your funds, and encourage your people, your clients. This has to happen if you have a business account, to only pay money into your business account and not into your personal account. Yes? So, commingling of funds, it is against the law. We are law-abiding citizens in here. It is against the law. Commingling of funds. You do not want to commingle your funds, because for accounting purposes, you need to be able to account for the money that your business is making. How would you know if your business is profitable if you are not sure of exactly how much money is coming in and how much money is going out? If you're using it for all different things, to pay for shoes, pay for your vacation, pay for fete, you would not have a clear idea of how much your business is actually making, and if you're making a profit, if you're making revenue versus profit, right? You would not be able to tell how much money your business is actually generating if you are commingling your funds. Yeah. And as Laddie pointed out as well, which is very, very true and happens a lot, if you have to access a loan, if you have to go to the bank or the credit union or any one of these lenders to give you a loan for your business, they would want to see your accounting. And you want to make sure, just in case you do have to do that, that your accounting is pristine. And it is very easy for them to see that you can manage your money, because that is why they want to see your accounts. They want to get a sense of how you manage your money, right? So that is why it is important for you to separate the two accounting. Yeah. And for payment purposes, paying your vendors and paying companies, they prefer to make things payables to businesses. So that's why you need to have a business account. They prefer to pay to businesses. So like if you're doing a job for a big company, let's say central bank, or even the government or something like that, their preference would be to pay to a company as opposed to a personal account, right? So guys, if you do not have a business account, first thing in the morning or even tonight, go online, do your research, figure out which bank works best for you and your needs. Please do your research, choose your bank provider, and go and open a business bank account. That is the first step in you breaking that chain of commingling your funds. Yeah? Any questions at all? And because today is the last day, I was telling Trishana, if you have any questions besides what we spoke about today, about anything we spoke about previously as well, this is a great time for you to ask, right? And we will try to answer it as much as possible. Yeah?
So
Let's
we
see the
actually
comments.
have a question from Natalie. She's saying that this is a complicated issue as well because of the liability factor. Example, if you need a fixed asset and don't have the business income to get it, how then will you be able to justify or allocate it on the business side when you paid for it from your personal income?
So again, I didn't understand the whole question. I was trying to find it too so I could read it.
Okay, all right. She's saying that this is a complicated issue
Right.
because of the liability. So if you need a fixed asset and don't have a business income to get it, how then will you be able to justify it on the business side when you paid for it from your personal income? So I'm
So is
guessing,
it that you paid for it already?
Natalie, do you wanna to let us know
Explain.
briefly? Yeah.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone.
Hi,
Hello,
Hi,
everyone.
Natalie.
Natalie.
Hi, it was just a question. For example, I have a friend that has a bakery, right? And the income is not at its point, is more or less you are using your personal income for most of the investment to get the business started. So in a case where you need to get equipment for the bakery, how then do you, because commingling, the definition that Ladi explained on Google is the separation of your liability and expenses. So how then do you
Right.
capture that given the fact that you do not have any business income? So in that was my question.
Laddie, you want to answer?
Yes, basically, those assets, right, are being used primarily for the business. So we classify that as business expenses. There is no, even though you purchased it, I mean, even though it's something
With your
that
personal
right,
money.
most businesses bootstrap at the beginning, and like I said, you bootstrap by using your own finances. But the fact that you use your finances does not mean that it is, once you have expensed it on the business, it becomes a business expense. Yeah. So the fact that you use your, just like you said, and a lot of businesses at the beginning, especially, they are not
Because
able
many
to,
people do that. They bootstrap their business by using their personal funds first
right.
to
So
start off their businesses.
exactly. So especially at the beginning, that's all you can do. You don't have any credit, probably don't have any credit history. You don't have any collateral for you to be able to get a loan, right? So you bootstrap. You start with what you have, right? However, those expenses, whether you use it, the money, even though it's yours, you use it to purchase assets, that is a business expense. If you used it to purchase raw
Yeah, I
materials
would.
or anything for the business, that is a business expense.
Yeah, I understand because most businesses do start off like that, where they have to use their personal money to get the raw material to start off. But when you are, and that's understandable, but when you are record keeping, put it under your business expense, right? The whole idea is that you're not going to be doing that 6 months into business or a year into business or 2 years into business. That is really just when you're bootstrapping, which means when you're now starting off your business. Yeah. Because we understand that that happens. But what you want to do is to set up your business so that later on you don't have to be depending on your personal finances to pay for business expenses.
And
Yes, so you become a creditor of the business.
right.
Go
And
ahead.
I also want to add that, in the course of business, especially like during COVID and, maybe some kind of thing happening there and business is not making as much as it should, and you need to do things for your business. So sometimes you may find, even after the beginning, you may find sometimes you need to, use your personal finances to do something for your business. Consider that as a loan to your business, right? Because at the end of the day, it is your personal finances. Okay, so what a lot of people would do is to regard that a loan to your business that will be repaid back to you. And I want to say vice versa as well, because sometimes entrepreneurs, because of one thing or the other, you may find out that inadvertently you take money out of the business for yourself. All right, you consider that as a loan as well. Again, this is all the mindset of separating what is yours and what is for the business.
Yeah, I saw somebody ask about if they're doing, if I'm undertaking a course to help enhance my business or personal, that would be a business expense because it's to enhance your business knowledge, right? So that would actually be a business expense.
Yes, I also want to add this whole idea of percentages and what is for the business. I think BIR, the key word that the tax authorities will look at is reasonableness. All right, reasonableness.
Reasonable, yeah, be reasonable.
Yes, so when you want to charge, when it's obvious from the way the business is making and the amount of customers they see that you want to charge 80% or 100% of expenses towards the business. It's not looking realistic. So it has to be realistic, it has to be reasonable. So like Adana said, sometimes when you look at the usage, it may be 50-50, or in some cases, it may be, okay, I use a car for my personal life as well. So, maybe the gas, we are splitting it 80-20, things like
Yeah,
it
yeah,
has to be reasonable.
yeah. It has, yeah, you have to be reasonable with it. So for example, if we use our car during the week to, as I say, do deliveries or do anything to go and collect inventory for the business or whatever, we use the business to pay for the gas, right? But let's say we're using the car on a weekend to go to a function or something like that, and it needs gas, we use our personal expenses. So you just have to be reasonable, right? And just think it through of what, where does this lie in my business, right? I saw somebody else ask a question, but I think we kind of answered that as well, because they asked about a laptop. How you treat with the money used to obtain inventory for a business, laptop, etc., if the business is not yet operational. So yeah, it's the same thing, that same answer like before if you're bootstrapping. Any other questions, guys? Not just about today, but about the whole program and any of the other topics that we covered before.
So I'm seeing another one. Over the years, I've accumulated inventory for the business. I'm not sure I can identify what was paid. How can I factor this into my pricing?
So the first question I would ask you is, why can't you identify what was paid? Again, you have to keep your receipts, guys. You have to keep your receipts. And if you're not sure, we live in the world of technology. Go online, figure out what the price is, or as close as possible to it, and use that as your marker. Yeah, use that as your marker, Lynette. Go online and see what the price is. Now use that as your marker to determine your price to charge your clients, right? But guys, this is why you need to keep these receipts. When you're buying things, you're purchasing anything from your business, you need to keep your receipts. Suppose your business account may not have dollars. Can you pay for an expense with your personal account and then reimburse the business account, personal account when you've got the dollars in the business account? Yes, you can. Do not make that a habit. Do not make that a habit. But yes, you can. But guys, a lot of this, if you realize, is about you being disciplined. You have to be disciplined, because saying, okay, I'll just put back the money in your account. How many of us have said that and never done it? Most of us have, right? So this is really, really a test of your discipline, right? As an entrepreneur and managing your money, you have to be disciplined in how you spend the money and how you use the money as well. Because as Laddie said, life happens, we understand that. sometimes you may have to use your personal money, but put it back into the put it back where it's supposed to be. Be disciplined, and that is why you need to write these things down. So write it down so you know, okay, last week I took $100, or the week before I took $500, and so when you get paid from a client, you can put it back, or vice versa. Write these things down. Record keeping is so very vital in your business success. Any other questions?
Okay, I just want to
I'm not
add,
saying anything. Go ahead.
yes, I just want to add, and this is an emphasis on what Adana mentioned. You see, one of the things that is painful is to see entrepreneurs, and you all have great products and services. And to me, for all the hard work that you all do, you know, many times we don't see enough coming out of that, you know, that measures up. I know it can be, it's, most of the time it's not, you know, but at least it should be able to pay you, right? And you must consider the issue of paying your salary. If your business is not paying you a salary to cover your living wage at least, you know, I think it's time, you know, for you to assess the feasibility of your business, to look again at your business idea and your business model, and to see whether you need to tweak something. Another thing that Adana also mentioned, you know, is it has to do with a really, you know, the pricing aspect. This co-mingling, when you stop mingling your finances, I've seen this become an eye opener for a lot of persons. It's an aha moment when they start to track which one is personal and which one is business. Then they recognize the business expenses. Oh my God, I have been underpricing. All right. So this really leads you to price more effectively. It leads you to price better. I believe you deserve it. All right. You have put out a very good quality product.
Yeah.
Right. And you are going to small micro business owners and small business owners. Arguably, I say they have excellent customer service. All right. So with all of that, you should be able to earn a reasonable sum from your business. So, you know, pricing, this is going to really help. I believe that that is even one of the most important aspects of what Adana would have mentioned.
Any other questions, guys? 5:59. You're right on the mark. Give me a thumbs up if you thought it was good information. If we gave you something to think about. Give it a thumbs up, we will give you something to think about. Yeah, if you learned something new today, give us some thumbs up. Yeah, lovely, lovely. Thank you, guys. We always want to get your feedback, huh? We always want to get your feedback, so thank you very much. I'm loving all these thumbs up. Trish?
Yes. Well, I mean, if you guys have no more questions, we bring things to a close this evening. On behalf of the NFLP team, we want to say a special thank you, of course, to Adana and Lottie, as well as Sajad, for taking us through the last few weeks. I think it was very informative and useful, and I hope you guys thought the same. Of course, the NFLP would like to wish you nothing but the best with your business ventures, and we really hope that your businesses absolutely thrive. And we ask you to please stay tuned to our NFLP social media pages and our websites, because we have so much more in store for you in 2022, and we hope that we can run another entrepreneurship month with marketing dynamics. Wait, I don't have it right.
Marketing Dynamics Business Solutions.
Yes, Marketing Dynamics Business Solutions, and of course our NFLP facilitators once again. We also want to remind you that Adana's Facebook group, if you all need additional support, please
Dynamic
join
Business
Dynamic Business
Strategist.
Strategist, right? And of course, we ask you to please, fill out a survey, let us know how we did, and if, this information was useful to you. So with that said, I think this brings us to a close. We wish you all the best in 2022. Of course, a
Guys,
happy,
it was,
safe,
yeah,
prosperous new year. Ladia,
and it
Donna,
was
you don't have
our
any last
pleasure.
comments?
It was our pleasure to be here with you over the last 5 weeks and to interact and to engage with all of you and answer all of your questions. I wish you all the success in the future. As Shoshana said, come over to Dynamic Business Strategist because you will get a lot more free training inside of there. And, you know, look out for more of these in 2022. And we really appreciate you and hope you have a safe holiday season.
Definitely. And again, the recordings will be made available later this week on YouTube. So once again, thank you everyone. Be safe. Take care.
Bye, everyone.